Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Elite Real Estate Podcast, episode 11. I'm Sam. This is your co-host, Will. What's going on, Will?
Yo. Just gotta give thanks to the sponsor, Clean Eats. Just got my greens in here. Just ready to have an awesome talk with our guest. I think you guys are gonna have an absolute blast. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, no, we got our buddy JPaul, who actually we got to give credit for. That's what brought Will and me together. You know, he was one of the co-leaders, co-teachers of the wholesale mastermind that we both signed up for, and that's where Will and I met. So, JPaul's an awesome guy. He's a wholesaler extraordinaire. He's a father of 7. He's a part-time sailor. So give it up for JPaul.
Hey,
yeah, we're excited.
I do have to make a correction there. So I know 7 Kids and Flipping is our business. However, we started branding ourselves as 7 Kids and Flipping before we found out we were going to have number 8. So we were like, well, of course, she just turned 7, but it's like, what do you do? We've already got all the branding and marketing and all this stuff going out, and we're like, what are we going to do now? So later on in life, we're going to tell her, hey, it wasn't you, honey, it was us.
Right. You were definitely the accident. We got a number.
Is there an edit button here?
Yeah, so everybody know a little bit about you, JPaul. Again, massive kudos. I don't know if a lot of the listeners know, but really, JPaul and another big investor that a lot of you guys are familiar with, Matt, who started Pig, are the reason Sam and I got together. And we've just, we're more than business partners right now. Like, he's my best friend, my brother. I rely on him. And it's kind of crazy how just like in 16 months, like how much our relationship has just fostered and kind of exploded. And so thank you, JPaul, for that connection, because it's really mastermind. It's sick.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great because, Matt and I obviously have Matt. He's had a passion for teaching for a long time, and I've always liked it. I've always been a very outgoing. If you haven't already known and can tell, but I'm very outgoing. I just always loved helping, and I'm very passionate. When I found wholesaling, I just was real passionate about it. So came to Matt one time and was like, man, I know that they already had the commercial mastermind going on. There was some other mastermind stuff. And I said, man, I'd love to do a wholesale mastermind. What are your thoughts? He's like, I've always wanted to do that. I just don't have a lot of time. He's like, got Pig going on. I think he was a youth pastor at the time. He just had a lot of stuff going on. And he's got a large family, and he's got 5 kids himself. So he's like, I would always want to do that. I don't have the time. So he's like, put together the course, put together the content, we'll market it on my platform, and we'll both teach it. I'm like, let's do this. So we are actually this Saturday. So I'm not sure when this is going to come out, but this Saturday is the 15th of June, 2024. We're on our 6th round, and we're going to be doing our all-day event, like you guys did. The end of the mastermind. So this Saturday is our all-day event. So that's tomorrow. So it's been crazy. It's just been really cool. It's been a good ride.
That's amazing. So for some of the listeners out there, I know you sprinkled a little bit in there on building a course. What exactly in the real estate world, how would you describe what a mastermind is? A lot of people don't know that are hopping in. So for those that don't know, JPaul is going to let us know, but it's so much work that he's probably not going to dote on himself about. But just let us know kind of like what a mastermind is and what the benefits would be outside of Sam and I like fostering an awesome relationship.
The relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, obviously a mastermind is something that I believe a mastermind is kind of an elite, more of a smaller group of people that, and yes, you're probably going to pay for your time or pay for their time, but it's something that you can get around other like-minded people, no matter if it's real estate investing, sailboat racing, like whatever the case may be. They can be a mastermind for anything, but I think it's just a collective of people that have come together to not only improve their craft, but to give knowledge of what's working for them and their business, or like I said, whatever the mastermind is. But it's to really have them bring their knowledge around other people, and you kind of bounce ideas off of each other, because the whole, two heads are better than one. Like, there are things that some people are doing in their business, and somebody might be struggling in a certain area, and somebody just gives 2 cents of input, and they're like, boom, the whole thing just shifted, and that's the missing piece. So I think that's really good about a mastermind, that you can come together with like-minded individuals that are doing the things that you are aspiring to do, or are already doing, but just want to maybe level up, or whatever that situation is. So that's kind of what a mastermind is all about.
Yeah, that's massive. That's massive. So again, JPaul's gave so much information in the mastermind that he puts on. I highly recommend if you guys haven't done it. Hopefully you guys will do it and then get a relationship like kind of like what Sam and I have, because, lifetime friendship, business partner, can't be more thrilled. And it's just cool that that's kind of how it started. So definitely recommend checking out JPaul. And so with that, JPaul, can you kind of let us know a little bit about your background, actively in real estate, kind of how you got started, but then take it back, way back, like to childhood and growing up, high school, college. Just let us know who JPaul is.
Yeah, sure. Well, so it all started April 23rd of 1982. And,
there it is.
So I just gave my age away. I'm 42 years old now. But no, so I'm here in Fort Walton Beach, Florida. I pretty much was born and raised in Fort Walton Beach. I grew up here, love it. I don't care what anybody says. There's no beaches like we got around here. So whatever, it's just hands down, it's gorgeous, emerald green water, white sand, like very, like everywhere I've lived in Florida. The only place I've lived other than here is 2 other places, but it's all been in Florida, and it's always been by the water. I lived in Tampa, so I left here in 01, moved down to Tampa. And then I lived in Tampa about 4.5 years. Then I moved over to Vero Beach, which is just north of like West Palm. But it's always been by the water. So when I moved to Vero Beach, a girl I was seeing there, she's like, "Oh, have you been to the beach yet?" I'm like, "For what?" I was like, let me tell you where I'm from. But I never saw the Atlantic. So I was like, "Oh, let's go look at the Atlantic." I'm like, "Oh, there's brown sand and there's rocks." I was like, that's great. So
I'm a beach snob myself, thanks to our white sandy beaches of the Emerald Coast.
So like you too, Sam. You pretty much grew up here in Destiny, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, me same. So yeah, once you're on these white sandy beaches, there's no beach that's as pretty.
No, bro. There's nothing like it, man. It's just like this 100 miles of sugar white beach sand is just, it's hands down, there's nothing like it. And I've been to I've been all around the Caribbean, which they've got some really cool stuff in the Caribbean, man. And we'll talk a little bit more about that and sailing and stuff like that. There's some really cool beaches, but dude, it's just, this is home, man. And this is where it's at. So like I said, I grew up here, but in 01, so I grew up a pastor's kid and played music my whole life. So my father was a worship leader, music minister. So I kind of followed in his footsteps and did some of that stuff. And I've led worship and played in a lot of church bands and played in some cover bands. And so I've been playing music my whole life. But so my dad, actually, I just turned 18, and my dad passed away when I was 18. So I just really had some struggles with that. And it threw me for a loop, man. And I didn't really want to do a lot of things. I stopped going to church, and I don't know. It was rough, man. It was rough. I'm telling myself I didn't finish high school, and I didn't go to college. I just was in the dumps, man, and really sad. But fast forward, so that was in 2000. And then in 2001, my buddy Brian, a good friend of mine, matter of fact, I just went to his wedding in Austin. But we moved to Tampa to open up some delis down there. His dad owned a chain of delis that's local here. It's called Lenny's Sub Shop. His dad was Lynn, the guy that started them. So
that's actually pretty. I want to pause real quick. That's pretty big. Like, I mean, because I didn't know that. Does they have Lenny's franchises up in when I went to school in Tuscaloosa in Alabama? There was Lenny's all the way up there. So I mean, that's pretty big.
Yeah. So they weren't that.
the chicken salad. I don't know what they do with it or how they make it, but that's the go-to. You get the oil and vinegar.
You want to know what the secret ingredient to that chicken salad is?
I do. It's like a ton of
Crack
mayonnaise.
cocaine. It's crack cocaine. It's really not. It's really not.
No, it's seriously. It's like,
but it's so good.
Chicken salad I've ever had. I love Lenny's. That's cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So my buddy Brian, his dad, he's passed now, but his dad was Lynn. So man, I was waiting tables at Ruby Tuesdays when it used to be in the mall back in the day, right? Back in the day, and him and Lynn and his wife Sheila sat down at my table, and I was waiting tables, and they're like, Lynn kept begging me, when you gonna come work for me, JPaul? When you gonna come work for me? I was like 18 at the time, and I was like, I mean, let's talk about some pay. You know, and this is back in like 2000. He's like, I'll give you $35,000 a year salary and full benefits. I'm like, sign me up, baby. You know, I was 18, no kids. I was like, let's do this. So anyways, fast forward. So in 2001, they wanted to open some chains down in Tampa. So we moved down to Tampa. Had a lot of fun in Tampa. I was 19, single, didn't have kids. It was crazy. And then, so I moved over to Vero Beach in probably 04, 05 time. And it reminded me a lot of Fort Walton. This real small kind of beach town. I was like, reminding me a lot of Fort Walton Beach. So met my first wife there. We had 3 kids. And then fast forward to 2010, I moved back here, okay? So I moved here and I was driving a Budweiser truck down there. So I've kind of always been in sales, you know, waiting tables, anything that's not really sales, but being my own, you know, selling myself, pitching and in interactions and, you know, things like that. So I've always kind of been in that avenue. But I was working for a beer company, and then I moved back here in 2010 and started working for a beer company here. But the only position they had was in the warehouse. It was working nights, and I just hated it. But I had to feed the kids, so I was like, okay, I got to have a job. Well, it was a guy that I was going to church with that worked at a Toyota dealership here. It used to be called Quality Imports Toyota for Walton. Now it's something different. So he's like, dude, I'll get you a job. Come on, you know, I can get you a job, either detailing cars or something to get you off the nights. So I did that. Started detailing for the first month, and then another guy that I went to church with was like, dude, I can get you in sales. You want to sell some cars? I'm like, yeah, I want to do something. So I started selling cars, and man, I took off. It's just, I don't know, man. I just have always been in that sales aspect and that outgoing, very people person. So I did really well. That's the first time I ever broke 6 figures was selling cars. But if you've ever been in the car business, or anybody that's in the car business knows, the car business owns you. Like, it's 60, 70 hours a week, every single Saturday, just crazy. So I was in the business selling cars. I was there, I don't know, 3.5 years. And this was coming up 2014. And I'll never forget it, man. I was sitting in the showroom floor, looking out over the car lot. And I was just like, God, is this really what I need to be doing? I don't like it anymore. I was just working my tail off. And I was like, I just don't like this anymore. What do I need to be doing? Is this really what I need to be doing? And I just felt in my spirit, I felt real estate. But I didn't know, none of my family was in a real estate. I mean, I've got brothers who are all in trades doing flooring and carpentry and painting and just all that stuff. But I never was in any of that real estate stuff. But I knew it. I felt real estate. But I was like, I don't have a bunch of capital. So I didn't want to be an agent. I mean, the real estate and the agent side. But I knew that something to do with real estate, it's what I needed to do. So I was like, okay, I don't have a bunch of capital to buy a flip and renovate it and all this stuff, or buy a rental property and, you know, get it fixed up and get someone in there. I was like, but what are these people always talking about, this no money out of pocket real estate? What is this? So of course, everybody does what they do. Go to the encyclopedias. I'm just kidding. You go to Google, and I looked up no money out of pocket real estate. And guess what the first thing that came up was?
Wholesaling.
Right?
Yeah.
Wholesaling. So I was like, okay. So I checked it out and looked a little bit into this. Then I found a guy named Sean Terry. He was one of the first to put himself out there, wholesaling podcasts. And I started listening to some like Tom Krall and Joe McCall and some of these other guys. And I started taking this massive action while I was still selling cars. I was working my business. I would sell cars and then come home, and I was listening to podcasts, writing notes and yellow letters and doing bandit signs. And I was just taking massive action just from the things I'm learning from these podcasts. And my success story is a little different than pretty much everybody's, but Within my first 45 days of working the business on the side of selling cars, I closed 3 contracts, and I had a JV partner at the time, and we split 25 grand. I was like, what? That's crazy.
Come on.
What? The next month, we closed 2 more deals and split like 20 grand. The next month, 2 more deals and another 20 grand. I'm like, what is going on? And I'm doing this part-time after selling cars and working night and doing all this stuff, but just doing deals. And I went into the dealership. It was the middle of the month. I went into the dealership in October, the middle of the month. I said, I'm putting my 2 weeks. I want to finish out the month and I'm done. I was like, because I got to do this full time. Because I know if I can do this part time, what I'm doing, imagine what I can do if I go full time. So my boss was super cool, and he was like, look, dude, we don't want to hold you back. If that's what you want to do, go for it. But you can always come back. You know, if you want to come back and get a sales job, you can always come back. I haven't done that.
Right.
Like, dude, I fired the man in October. I fired the man October of 14, and I ain't never looked back. Never.
Cooking, baby. I love it.
So I finished out that year. And like I said, I started like July 1st is when I started. And in 45 days, I got 2 contracts, 3 deals closed. I'm like, what? So I finished out that year. We had 13 deals in like 5 months. And
That's
then,
nice.
So then 2015 was our first full-time year. We did 47 deals.
Wow.
That's big.
That's a deal a week.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's just been, it was going up and up and up and up and up since then. So that's what got me in real estate.
That is unbelievable. And no wonder you're teaching, masterminds. But for the listeners out there, you mentioned you had a JV partner, and I'm curious because I think it's so important, like being able to connect and utilize networks. Like a lot of people feel like they need the whole chunk of the pie, right? But I really think a massive kickstart is being able to JV or joint venture, as what a lot of people say in the business is JV, which kind of just means that you're partnering up with someone who's more senior, has more connections, but you might be doing a little bit more of the work that they've kind of automated, right? How would you describe that? And then how would you say your success was kind of built and then maybe snowballed and kind of catapulted the way that it did by joint venturing with other people?
Sure. So there's no disrespect, but take this with a grain of salt. So I met Matt because I was trying to build up my buyers list. And we had this thing back in the day. It was called the Thrifty Nickel. It was a classified ad. Like, newspapers. You remember those things back in the day, right? So there was a classified.
I honestly love the Thrifty Nickel. You can find all kinds there.
Yeah, it was like it was the paper version of Craigslist, right?
Yeah.
So I was looking to build. I actually had a deal in the contract. I was trying to find a buyer, right? So I'm just looking for any ways to build my buyers list and find a buyer. And I went I saw the Thrifty Nickel, and they had the in the classifieds. It was like I buy houses and these print ads, and I called. Matt answered the phone, right? Matt Robinson answered the phone, and I was like, "Hey, I got a deal, blah blah." He's like, "Hey, cool, I'll go take a look at it, but you should come to you should come to our meetup. It's called the PIG Group, the Professional Investors Guild." So that's how I met Matt. Just calling him off his Thrifty Nickel, right? So fast forward to what I was saying is, so I started going to the PIG meetings and the once a month, meetups. The first one that I went to, Matt said, the only ship that doesn't sail is a partnership. And there are people with like y'all's success and great partnerships, and don't get me wrong. But for me, I just felt like that's what I needed to hear because I didn't know anything. I was about to jump. He already had an LLC. He had a business, all that stuff set up. I was like, oh, I'll just join his, right? Well, nothing against splitting up with the partnership, but we parted ways. But if I had married into the business, it would have been a nightmare of splits and this, and if we owned real estate together, and there's just a lot of things that would have had to. It's almost like a divorce, man. It's a lot of stuff that goes into that. So I think
that's a really critical point. Not to interrupt, but sometimes if the calling isn't necessarily to have a good business partner, it can be like a divorce. Like you're splitting assets. Especially if you're doing deals too, right? Like if right now, if something knock on wood, and Sam and I are super aligned, but we have multiple properties. Like, imagine what that would be. Additionally, we use the same lawyers, like our attorneys are the same. So then we would have to find completely new ones. It's going to cost us. I mean, it's So I think it's really, really critical point.
Have some tough conversations before you do business with anyone. The hard question, that
it's like
things don't go right. What happens?
Like they say there's the 5 Ds. What happens if someone gets divorced, or someone dies, or someone does this, or someone gets hooked on drugs, or like, y'all have to lay these things out, because I think anytime you're going to go into a partnership with anybody, get these things laid out on paper, you guys, because here's the thing. If it's all laid out and everything's there, then there's no hidden expectation. Like, everything is here. This is what we expect. This is how we're going to operate. And you always revert back to that. So that's what I would suggest. If anybody has a partnership, make sure these things are laid out. What are your expectations? What are your expectations? These are your job roles. These are your job roles. Let's stay in our lane and we can grow this thing, right?
Totally.
So, but for me, I just felt that wasn't the right move. But the good thing with the JV partner is you can JV on hundreds, and we did hundreds of deals. And anytime that we did put a property under contract that we were going to wholesale out, it was both of our businesses as the buyer. So on the contract that we assigned out, but that's how it was. Or if one wasn't there to sign, we would just do this and then back it up with a joint venture agreement. So the easy thing for me was, we can do all these deals and deals and deals, but we weren't like married together. So fast forward now, we ended up kind of parting ways. We didn't see eye to eye on certain things, and that's okay. But I'm glad that the way we did that is the way we did it.
Yeah, no, I think that's huge, because joint venture, I think, is something that's kind of unique to real estate. Like, you don't see. Let's take Sam. Would you joint venture with another franchise? That'd be like, it seems cool because you see like and I'm gonna butcher it, but maybe like a KFC and a Taco Bell, or like a Dunkin' Donuts and a.
That's not a Clean Eats JV deal.
No, I'm saying they join together. But what a lot of people don't realize is it's all
brand to make them fat, brand to make them skinny.
That sounds like big pharma.
Yeah, right. But that's like something cool, and something that I really like that JPaul mentioned is that you could JV with other people, right? So like, if you guys have this awesome deal that makes sense, and JPaul's buyer list is probably the best in our area, you need to link up with him, and he's going to have a better avenue for an exit strategy than Sam and I. But if you guys are trying to do some new construction and trying to go down to the county and having some trouble, well, maybe that's a time that we would connect, Sam and I, and we would JV or joint venture on that, So it's really cool, and that's something I've always really liked about real estate is there's multiple exit strategies, and then kind of layering this with joint ventures with people who are might niche down or have an expertise in some specific category. You don't have to go in business with every single one of them. You could come across different types of deals, and then you can joint venture with those people that might be able to allow you to access the exit strategy that you're leaning most towards faster, right? And what does that generally mean? More money. You're not you don't have holding costs and carrying costs. So that's awesome.
Well, kind of just to piggyback off of what you just said, is that's one of the things that I focus on right now. Is I try to be the dispo dude, man. Like, I do have a big buyers list, and I'm always building my buyers list. I'm always adding people to the buyers list. I've got like 2,500 people on there right now. Have I sold a deal to all of them? No. But the more eyeballs that see the deal that I'm trying to sell, the better chances I'm going to get more multiple offers, higher offers. You just never know. So you want to have as many people see the deal. If you're a wholesaler, as many people see the deal as possible, because that's who's buying the deals. So I always tell people, look, if you've got a deal that you can't sell, I want everybody to make as much money as possible.
Totally.
But guess what? If you can't sell that deal, quit price dropping to try and get someone to sell it, or JV with somebody. Because this is my catchphrase. I don't care what anybody says. Half of something is better than all of nothing.
Totally.
So,
I would like to
Will says
all.
Y'all stole that from me. That's my view.
Yeah.
I
It really, like,
agree.
half of something is better than all of them.
Completely. And so you dropped a couple really good nuggets in there. You said you want to be the dispo guy. So kind of explain to some of the listeners what that means to be the dispo guy. And then you said you have 2,500 people on your buyers list. You don't obviously have to tell all your secrets and give all the secret sauce, but what are some ways that some new people that maybe want to find out some opportunities that maybe aren't cash heavy, they want to get into real estate, kind of like on the former part of this interview, you said everyone leads into wholesaling to get started. And the biggest part, I think, at least, doing your mastermind and all the podcasts that I've listened to and books that I've read, it's building that buyer's list and then organically doing a lot of work, right? So kind of let them know what you being JPaul, the dispo guy, and then how you became that, which would be, coupled with why buyer's list is so great.
Well, like you said, man, if you're going to wholesale, and I really feel that everybody should have a wholesale aspect on the back of mind. You might be a full-time rehabber, but guess what? If you are good at finding deals, aka wholesalers are good at marketing and finding deals, negotiating deals, not all, but that's what you start getting good at as a wholesaler. At least you should, or you won't last. But one of the things is to build up a buyer's list, because if you're a full-time rehabber and your marketing is on point and you're sourcing your own deals, like some of the heavy hitters that are here in our market, Cornerstone, Blackjack, some of those guys that are just heavy hitters, they are really good at marketing. So there are deals that they're going to cherry pick the grand slam deals, but there might be some deals that they know is a good deal, but they're like, I don't want that turd. That's just not in my wheelhouse. They know what their buy box is, but that doesn't mean it's not a deal for somebody else. So if you don't have a buyer's list, you're going to have to JV with somebody that does to wholesale a deal, right? But if you have a buyer's list, then you can wholesale your own deals. Because say you start really getting good at marketing and you start getting 5, 6, 10 contracts a month, you probably aren't going to close on every single one of those to keep or rental, flip, whatever. But you can wholesale the crap out of some deals. And say you get $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 assignments, well, you just put that money back into the machine. So I recommend everybody build up a buyer's list. I recommend everybody start off wholesaling just because it's the lowest bar of entry. You don't have to buy properties, but you get to learn marketing, you get to learn negotiations, you get to learn rehab costs, you get to learn how to find your ARV and comp your properties. You get to learn a lot of the things that are in all the other aspects of a real estate investing business. And the top thing is you get to learn marketing, because unless you are sourcing your own deals, you're paying the wholesalers or you're looking on the MLS. That's usually what it is. And thank you so much. Bring it on. I am okay with taking your assignment fees. That's gold. That's what feeds the 10 mouths in this house. You know what I'm saying? But you got to get good at sourcing your own deals, or you're going to end up paying somebody else for those deals, which that's okay as long as the numbers work. But that's why I was talking about building up a buyer's list. So how I would recommend doing that is tell everybody and anybody on all the Facebook groups that I'm finding off-market deals, even if you're finding them right now or not. I'm finding some really good deep discounted properties. If you're looking for off-market deals in Pensacola, wherever your market is, please let me have your email address. I'd like to add you to my buyer's list. Once you start getting a little bit of a buyer's list built up, go to other real estate investors that are wholesalers that have small buyer's lists too. Say you got 50 or 100. Swap lists. You might trade lists. You might have some of the same buyers, but guess what? If you've got 100, this other person's got 100, and you only have 25 of the same buyers, you just gained 75.
Right.
So I was, when I had like 1,000, this is probably 4 years ago, I put a post out on the Pig Facebook group. I was like, I got 1,000 buyers. Who's got 1,000 buyers wants to swap? So I had like 2 other people that I swapped lists with that, we had a lot of the same buyers. I say a lot, a couple hundred of the same buyers. But man, I just went boom, boom, boom and grew it up. So, it went from 1,000 to, 1,800 and like that. And then I just kept growing it and growing it and growing it. So that's just kind of where it is now, man. So trade lists. Yeah.
I like that.
That's awesome. That's exactly why you're the wholesaler extraordinaire. So it sounds like pretty early on in your journey, like you knew that wholesaling was going to be what it was, the real estate path you wanted to do. Was there anyone kind of like early on that inspired you, or kind of like was a mentor for you in the wholesaling journey?
Oh yeah, man. Like Matt took me under his wing like no other. And I I probably blew his phone up more than anybody's, man, just with a question. And if he had a time, which a lot of times he did, he would answer or respond or whatever. But he really, Matt he's got such a good heart, man. Such a heart of a teacher because he is a teacher. But he is open and he's willing to talk with you. But he's also really good at loving you to tell you that's wrong. You shouldn't do that. He's good at that. Like he's not like, oh, everything's great. He's like, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that deal. I would not do that deal. So he took me under his wing. But a lot of other people that I met at Pig or things like that just really took me under their wing. But I would say, as far as like a mentor, Matt was probably my first and one that I really leaned on the most was Matt. Now, and fast forward, from 14 to 2019, I did join a mastermind. Shout out to Mike Hambright with Investor Fuel. I love, that aspect of it. But there's some good masterminds like Collective Genius, and there's Don Costa's roundtables and Kent Clothiers, and there's all these different things, and a lot of them are going to be great. But so I joined into a mastermind, and it costs a little bit of money, but you start rubbing elbows with some heavy hitters, people that are really doing some big things. And the whole saying, you want to be the dumbest guy in the room. That's so true. Because if you're the smartest guy in the room, then are you really growing or learning? I mean,
you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, man. Right. If you were the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, you're in the wrong room. That's awesome.
You join the temperature of the masses. If you're in a warmer room, you'll feel hotter, and if you're in a colder room, you'll feel colder.
Yeah. You're the average of the 5 people you hang around the most. So if you're fat and lazy, and your friends are probably fat and lazy too.
Yep.
If they're all doing drugs, you're probably doing drugs too.
But if they're all crushing it, hopefully you're following suit.
If they're all crushing it, then you're crushing it too. Yeah.
So kind of tell us about life today. I know you've got some really cool passions, and I'm really excited to kind of lean into this, especially because you kind of dabbled in that. You explored a lot of the Caribbean, and so I'm interested to hear a little bit about life today, and also personal, but then going back in professional, kind of like career life today. Fast forwarding from selling cars, part-time wholesaler, to now just full-time coach, mastermind, teacher, absolute animal and machine dispo guy right now. And kind of let us know some of your investments or investment strategies. And yeah, just so kind of just starting, a little bit light, passions that you're doing, and then we'll move right into like right now career and investments.
Yeah, sure. So where we're at right now as far as career and investments, I help, like I said, with the real estate mastermind with Matt and I. So I do enjoy coaching and teaching and stuff like that, because finding wholesaling has really just helped me out and just changed my life. So I enjoy giving back in that aspect. So we do. I do some one-on-one coaching. If anybody's interested in that, I'd love to have a conversation about what that looks like. We do the real estate mastermind as well. I also, in 2016, kind of when everybody was zigging, I have to zag. So I started really getting into wholesaling vacant land. And that was like a niche that no one really was doing. There's a few more people that are doing it now, but I've been crushing it, just crushing it with vacant land since 2016. So that's the avenue that I really focus on now. I'm not sending out, 50,000 pieces of direct mail every month with all the houses and the multifamilies and all that stuff. I'm just super dialed down, super niched down to my vacant land. My team is me and a VA if I need some help with some stuff. My VA does these things, but super just chill, lean, mean, go for it. And also we have, my wife and I, we have five Airbnb short-term rental properties right now. So what I have decided is our focus, because I want to work less and make as much as I can. So our focus now is I want to, do as much coaching and stuff like that as I can. Also the vacant land stuff that I do, I spend I mean, 5 to 6 hours a week on the vacant land stuff, and we're consistently doing 2 or 3 deals at least a month with vacant land. I also do a lot of JV stuff, so I let people know, hey, got a large buyers list. If you got a deal that you can't sell, so coaching, wholesaling vacant land, JVing on some deals, and my short-term rentals, because I want to work as little as possible but make as much as I can. I want to work 20, 10, 15 hours a week and make, whatever I can. So we like the short-term model, especially in our area here. We're, like I said, by some of the best beaches in the world. So our spring and summer is booked all the time. We're jammed up all the time. Like we've got one that's our money maker. And in the season, it's $600 a night. It's a 4-bed, 2-bath, 15 minutes from the beach. It's not even on the beach. It's got a pool, but that thing's like $600 a night in the season. And we've got you'll get 4 or 5 months solid book. So that's good. Those are good. So we've got, like I said, 5 of them right now. I want like 10, I want 20, whatever. Because I don't want to do a lot of sailing, man. And I want to be on the water more. And I don't want to continue to chase deals. There's nothing wrong with active investments. If you've got a big business that you've built up and you've got 15 people, 2 acquisition managers, a dispo guy, a marketing manager, 17 cold callers, great, do it. For me, I don't want to do that. I don't want to actively keep chasing deals, because if you don't have this systems and processes built up to where the business can run on its own, when you stop, it stops.
Totally.
It just does. So, but for me. That's just for me. I'm not in that space no more. I'm lean, mean, do what I do, and right now, like, as soon as you get off this call, I'm probably gonna go float in the water right across the street here. I just want to chill, dude. That's what I want to do, man. I want to get on my boat. I want a Caribbean hop. I want to just have a good time. However, I can't do a lot of that right now, Caribbean hopping, because we got so many kids. But in the future, we're believing they're going to end up having their own lives, their own things, and we're always going to come back together, and we're going to be a family. But in the future, when it's just maybe my wife and 2 kids, we'll probably do a more, be able to do that. Because I don't have a 78-foot yacht right now where it can fit 10 people comfortably. I got a 38-foot sailboat that's nice and it's great for Caribbean hopping, but fitting 10 people on that thing, man, we're gonna be like, ugh.
Yeah. Well, that's 38. That's 38 feet more. 38 more feet of boat than we got. So that's badass.
No, that's amazing. I think that we've known each other for a long time, but kind of letting the listeners know, like, give us a little bit about sailing and how you got into that. Kind of pulling off of, we've been business. But I think it's so cool. And I think there's an element that people kind of forget about, which is kind of enjoying life, right? And finding something that you're passionate about. Of course, it's great to be passionate about your business and your work, but there's also a lot of other things that are happening externally. And I really think it's cool that you found this passion for sailing. I think sailing's so cool. And didn't you do a trip like around?
Oh yeah, I'll talk about that. Yeah.
Let everybody know. I don't want to spoil it, but
yeah. So I have always, like I said, been around the water, and I just, especially our water, man, it's hands down, it's phenomenal. So water has literally been in my life, my whole life. But I never was like, oh, this huge sailor, and I want to, cruise the Caribbean. And I just recently had that. So what happened was the old crazy 2020, and when the world went to, I got the first round of COVID in June of 2020, and I was just depressed. It was in the dumps. No one knew what the heck was going on. A lot of people were scared and just didn't know what was going on. So my wife and I and most of the family, we got the first round of COVID, but I got like a tickle in my throat and a little cough, lost my taste and smell. But other than that, nothing, right? But it's just the mental depression from what was being fed to us. And we were just in the dumps, man. We're like, this is stupid. So I just looked on YouTube and I was like, I gotta get out of this crap. So I just looked up things to do in the South Pacific. I don't know why I looked that up. And the first thing that popped up was this Sailing Nahoa, this couple that sold everything, bought a catamaran, and just started sailing the world. I was like, I looked at my wife. I was like, I want to do that.
I love it.
She elbowed me, and she's like, I have always wanted to do that. Don't you tease me. I was like, we're buying a boat. We're buying a boat. We're going to buy a boat. We're going to do that. I was like, we're going to do that. So it just boom. So, of course, that was a big 48-foot catamaran, which is, if you buy brand new, they're $1.5 million. Like, that's a floating condo, right? But I wanted to get on the water and start getting around it. Well, I live 5 houses from the yacht club here, man. So we joined the yacht club. We grew up kind of going to the yacht club. The house we're living in is the house my wife grew up in, 5 houses down from the yacht club. So she's always been at the yacht club. So sailing has been kind of in her, water sports. It's always been in her thing, but she's always been an adventurous entrepreneur spirit like that. So we joined the yacht club. They have Wednesday night fun races. You just crew on boats and get on. I just wanted to get on every boat I could and learn and start. I watched a lot of videos and just started kind of getting around it, just like wholesale, right? Started getting around it. So then I was looking on YouTube and Facebook, and I was like, oh, let me just buy a little Hobie cat or something I can kind of putt around in, right? A couple $1,000, buy a little Hobie cat. It'd be fun. Just take it out here to the bay. I mean, you guys are here, but our Choctawhatchee Bay, it's a lot of bay, man. Like, it's pretty big. Like, there's a lot of water to be sailing around here, right? So then I was looking around Craigslist and Facebook, but then I started seeing a little bit bigger boats that were a little more expensive. I was like, well, that's like a 25-foot little Catalina, but it's got a little cabin down there, so we can like go anchor out and sleep on it and spend the night on it, right? Because a Hobie cat, you can't really do that. It's like an open, you can't. It's fun to putt around in, but you can't, or not putt around, sail around in, but you can't really like crash and sleep on the cabin, right? So I was like, oh, let's just get a little bit bigger of a boat, spend a little bit more money. Maybe we can find something, and then we can have some fun and go out for a couple nights or whatever. Well, then, of course, we started looking at biggers and biggers and biggers. And I was like, all right, well, how about this? The catamaran is the dream, right? That's the dream, but that's a big dream down the road. But I want something that we can kind of cruise around with right now. So I was like, okay, maybe we can find something around 30 feet, spend, I don't know, $20,000, $30,000 on pre-owned. Let's start saving our pennies. Well, we found what's called a center cockpit. So an aft cockpit is the boat, the cockpit's in the back of the boat, right? Well, a center cockpit is more in the middle of the boat. So we started looking at some of these center cockpits, and because I wanted to get on any boat we could, man, just to see what's out there, find out what we liked. Well, we started looking at some center cockpits, and of course those were more expensive, but we found some stuff that we really liked. And we were just, all right, we're going to save our money. I started finding all these different kinds. I wanted to look for different brands, and I found what's called an Irwin. And they make them, well, they don't make them anymore, but they were made down in St. Pete, Florida. So I found what's called an Irwin 38 center cockpit. So I joined the Facebook group and I put a post out there. I'm interested in buying a center cockpit. If anybody knows of anyone that's, an Irwin, I'm looking for around 35 to 38 feet. Anybody got one that they're looking to sell? The guy, the admin of this Facebook group, private messaged me and said, hey, what are you looking for? There's a guy that's in this group, hasn't mentioned it yet, but he's looking to sell his boat. He's looking to sell it for $12,000. I'm like, how much is he selling this thing for? $12,000. I was like, does it float? He's like, yeah, he's living on it. I was like, what? Because I was looking at these Irwins, and you can find them that were just dumps and needed so much refit. You had to do a lot of work to it, but they're still like 30 grand, right? I was like, 12 grand? So I got the dude's information, called him up. That's the first question I said is like, does this thing float? He's like, yeah, live on it. He's like, I just bought a trawler, which is a motorboat. He's like, so I don't want 2 insurance payments, 2 slip payments. I don't want all that. But he was a spreadsheet nerd, and he had all his 2-year plan dialed out. This is how much interest he was going to have to pay on this trawler he just bought was $12,000. He's like, I just want my interest money back. I'm like, okay, can I come see the boat? He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'll be there tomorrow. He's like, okay. So I went over there and checked it out, put a deposit on it, and bought the boat. So
you're kidding me. This is wild.
Oh, dude. Listen,
and it was good shape. Man. You didn't have to do a lot to it.
It had a not brand new, but the engine had been so it's an '89 Irwin 38 center cockpit. So it's almost 40 years old, but the engine was already swapped out maybe 10 years ago. So it's a new Yanmar. I mean, newer Yanmar. The sails were good. They still had a few years left on them. They weren't like top notch, but they were okay. The rigging was good. Didn't have any major leaks in the boat. A couple little here's and there's, but it was perfect for what I needed. I was like, okay. So we bought the boat. Now, the boat was in St. Augustine, Florida, okay, by Jacksonville. We live in the Florida Panhandle, but on the other side, right? So I sailed the boat. I say my wife, me, and a guy that I met on Facebook sailed the boat all the way home from St. Augustine, Florida to Fort Walton Beach, Florida. It was 3.5 weeks. Okay.
3.5 weeks.
3.5 weeks. It was a total sail time about 17 days. We had times we had to tuck in for weather and stuff like that.
Oh my God.
948 nautical miles. And I ain't never really sailed in my life.
That's what I was about to say. This is like your first.
You got broken in on that trip.
Listen, bro. I went through just about anything you can do when you're overnight sailing or doing crossings, or I did it. There was times where the autopilot wasn't working because the seas were a little too rough. So it just, you had to manually steer. But then the wind indicator wasn't talking to the device down here. So we're having to look up at the old analog when the shine a light is pitch black just to see where the wind is. But then that stopped working because it was so dark and you couldn't really see it. So I had to focus on the compass, and we had to keep our heading between like 310 and 330 so we wouldn't have to keep changing the sails and all that stuff. So I'm like sailing like this and pitch black, looking down at the compass. All I'm doing is just focusing on that compass, man. Like there was anything you can think of, we went through. So I learned a lot of stuff on that.
So I don't know if you guys are also picking up what I'm picking up, but when JPaul sets his mind to something, he's all in.
I am what you call
sailing, crushed it. And,
I am what you call ready, fire, aim. Ready, fire, aim. There's no ready, aim, fire. It's ready, fire, aim.
Anything with JPaul, anything with sailing, you're in. Wholesaling, regular sailing.
I never thought of it. Let's go. I never thought of it. Yeah.
I love it.
So
Dude, that's great.
There was a lot of, we call them old salts. There's a lot of old salts at the yacht club. They're like, have you ever sailed a 38-foot boat? I'm like, no, but I never drove a car until I did either. You know, like,
I like
what
that.
could go wrong?
Honestly, I like that mindset. I think that's pretty sick.
A lot could go wrong.
But
so Brian, ready for this? So Brian, this dude I met on Facebook, he actually used to be a chiropractor and had his practice in Pensacola. He was living on his boat in Hawaii, okay? But he was like, he hit me up because I put a post out on these sailing and cruising forums. I'm like, anybody want to go on an adventure? I just bought a boat in San Augustine. I need to sail it around 1,000 miles to come home. Who wants to go? And everybody was like, how much you paying? This and that. I'm like, dude, you guys want to come? I'll keep you fed. Let's go. Like, you want to go? He reached out to me. He's like, keep fuel in the boat. Keep me fed. Let's do this. I'm like, all right, let's go. So we did, man. It was the best thing I ever did in my life. I literally came home and I didn't want to do anything else. Nothing else. Like a month and a half, 2 months later, my wife's like, we're running out of savings. Are you going to do some work or what? Like I was like, I didn't want to do nothing but
said, I'm still sailing, right? Wholesaling, I'm regular sailing. I'm making it happen, you know? I love it. That's sick.
Well, now your wife's actually kind of then brings me back. This next question is back to business. What's your next 12 months in real estate look like?
Yeah. So where we're at right now is we want to acquire more properties as far as for short-term rental. So when we have our season, it's jam up, right? But you all know around here, it could be dead in the off season, right? But guess what we've got going on right now? They're building a brand new bridge. It's going to take 5 years, and they have to house those workers. So guess what? For 6 months, when it's off season, I can house some workers and government pay, baby. Like they're paying it per diem. Like, come on. So we have never had an issue keeping them booked as far as either what's called medium term, 3 months, 6 months, whatever. But from April to September or April to end of August, that's jam up season. Like it's short term. But from September to end of March, you need to find somebody to go in there or you're paying your own bills or whatever. So we personally have not had an issue finding somebody to fill those spots. So where we're at in the next 12 months is I would like to get as many more as I can. I do at least have a goal for another 2 by the end of this year. But I'd like to get as many as I can because just based on the numbers of what we're doing with our 5 that we've got right now, I know if we get 10, I really don't have to wholesale another deal if I don't want to. I will not probably stop because I'm always going to say, hey, you got a deal? I can help JD that deal. I'm always going to be pitching that. But that
the dispo guy.
Yeah, man. If it comes to a spot where I've got 10 or Matt was the one that said that. You're the dispo bro. And if I've got 10 or
we should have you like that.
We can edit it. No. If I got 10 or 15 of these properties that are doing what we're doing right now for 5, I really don't have to do anything else if I don't want to. So that's what the next 12 months looks like, is to acquire more of those so I can, if I don't have to wholesale, I don't choose to wholesale, then okay.
No, I think that's awesome, and that's amazing. The work that you've done, the business you've built. Something I think the listeners, hopefully, they snagged on is the way that you are filling those properties, and that's something that I actually just was having a conversation yesterday about being able to find areas of massive growth where they're outsourcing people from either other parts of the state or other parts of the country to work for long periods of time. I was talking with the same person about 2 different things. When they were building in Pensacola, the new bridge that brings you to Gulf Breeze, all the people that worked at Skansa needed places to stay. And they had quite a number of units, and they instantly rented them out. They were all on Airbnb for 10 months, and they're paying like premium dollars. And I was like, wow, that is
like $100 a night.
Yeah. And
like $100 a night.
Yeah. And so I was like, man, that's something really interesting. And then they blew my mind. One more. And since you're a sailor, I think you'll love this story. America Magic is now in Pensacola and training in Pensacola Bay, right? For America Cup. Oh yeah. Okay. It's the new host from New York. It's going to be the team that's representing the US. The race is in Barcelona. Really cool. Kind of, they race every 4 years, and it's something really cool that they're hosting here. But again, just rented for like a whole year to the team, the off season, the training when they come back from the race, because they're currently in Barcelona, but they're gonna house them, and they already rented it for like 2025, and I'm like, dude, that is so cool. And I think it's really cool that you're doing the same thing, like capitalizing. You already knew next 60 months, 5 years, they're going to be there. I've got tenants, and I know that the government pays. So that's also another cool exit strategy that people might not be thinking about, but could be like a major cash cow if you're getting into these areas of hypergrowth. I'm thinking right now, like Beulah. The Beulah area here, right next to Navy Federal, the OLF 8 project is in its final bidding process, which is going to be, it's like a $50+ million project that's going to be a crazy amount of infrastructure from residential, commercial, gas, like all types of things, kind of tying into these high income earners at Navy Federal. And so I think that's a really great growth opportunity. And as you can see, if you go on the GIS, like D.R. Horton, Lennar, Adams Homes are just buying these massive, massive tracts that are all out there. So kind of being able to, take the day in news that you're taking, whatever your local news channel, local, newspaper, whatever, and kind of searching through and sifting through those can really give you some great deal opportunities, which kind of leads into our next and final question. What's some advice, because you've been giving great advice and awesome stories this whole time, but what's some advice that you'd give to someone who's starting today and they wanted to do what you do,
First and foremost, get around people that are doing bigger things. Get around the people that are really doing it, and intern for them, like whatever, man. Just get around the people that are doing what you really want to do and learn from them. Because most people, not all, most people that are in that success or whatever, they're probably not jerks. Not all, but most people are probably not shysters, jerks, because they wouldn't last, right? So a lot of them, if you have a heart of a servant and you can offer whatever it is, get around those people. Find out what they're doing, how they've done it, because a lot of them, they themselves probably had a mentor that did the same thing, took them under their wing, showed them the ropes. Because what's the quickest way from A to B? A straight line. What's the quickest way to get where you want to go? Just model somebody that's already done it. Just model what they've already done. You know, the whole McDonald's Big Mac story. Like how do they make a Big Mac? The same way every time. Nothing changes. So just find out how they do it and do it. Like it doesn't change. You know, that's why they have all of them everywhere, because it's the same thing and this is how we do it. Just follow what we do. So I would recommend getting under somebody that's doing exactly what you want to do, whether it's wholesaling or whatever, and just model what they're doing.
Like a mastermind hosted by JPaul. Hey.
Yeah, that's awesome. And so to close us out, what's your top book or your top 3 books that you think were most influential in your success today that you can offer to our listeners?
Sure. For real estate, I would say obviously Rich Dad Poor Dad is a good one. And the reason I think Rich Dad Poor Dad, that a lot of people talk about the Kiyosaki Rich Dad Poor Dad, is because it shows you another way. And it doesn't even always have to be real estate involved. It shows you another way on how to do things to have money make money for you. Not basically you're trading. Don't trade time for money. You know, because when you clock in, clock out, do your 9 to 5, whatever, you're making somebody else rich. You're working for them, and I got tired of working for the man. But you know, with me, obviously, I was kind of in my own entrepreneurial space because I was in sales. So if I did the work, I made the money, kind of thing. You know. Right. But I would say Rich Dad Poor Dad because it shows you the different ways of how you can do things. There's something different that's out there. It's not like, oh, let me punch in today and punch out for lunch and punch back in today. And, you know, it just shows you the difference. Another good one for something that helped me in real estate is a book called Who, Not How. Find out what you're really good at and just nail that thing. You don't have to be good at everything. You don't have to know how to do everything, but you should know who does know how to do that. So that really opened up my eyes on, I don't have to wear all the hats because I can't stand looking at spreadsheets. I hate that, but I had to do it. So who can do this because I don't want to do this. So it's who, not how. It's a really
I love that book and that philosophy.
Yeah, man. Like you don't have to master everything. Just know what you are really good at. Coaching, talking to people, acquisitions. That's what I like to do. I'm good at talking. That's what I love doing. So I focus on the things that I'm good at, and the rest of it that still has to be done. Who, not how. How do I do this? Who can do this? And then I would say the third book that I recently read, not real estate involved. It's called The 4 Agreements. The 4 Agreements. It changed my perspective on how I view life, changed my perspective on how I view anything in every situation. So I'm just going to read you the real quick, short snippet. The 4 agreements. Agreement 1 is be impeccable with your words, speak with integrity, say only what you mean, avoid using the word to speak against yourself or gossip about others, use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. Agreement number 2, don't take anything personal. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality and their own dream. When you are immune to the other opinions and the actions of others, then you don't have to be the victim of needless suffering. Agreement 3 is don't make assumptions. Find the courage to ask questions and express what you really want. Communicate with others as clearly as you can to avoid misunderstandings, sadness, and drama. With just one agreement, you can completely transform your life. Real quick, how many times do we not call somebody because we've made an assumption that I messed up? They probably don't like me right now. I don't want to call them right now. You just made that assumption. You don't know that's true. Don't make assumptions. And then the 4th one is always do your best. It doesn't have to be perfect, but everything you do, you should do it your best. You just thumbs down that, bro. What is that? Did you see that? Wait till you see the replay. It was like thumbs down.
Well, I mean, you saw both of my hands are right here. I don't even know. I don't know what happened there.
Will's like, no. right.
I don't know how that happened. That was wild.
It's okay. It's okay. All right, we're gonna cut it and then we're gonna edit this. All right. So
Yeah.
that's okay. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. The fourth agreement is always do your best. Your best is going to change from moment to moment. It will be different when you are healthy as opposed to sick. Under any circumstance, simply do your best and you will avoid self-judgment, self-abuse, and regret. This 140-page book I read in 2 days, and I'm not a huge, I used to not be. I'm more at it now, but I'm really starting to read a lot more. These 140 something pages in this book has shifted so many things in how I view stuff, like arguments with a spouse or kids acting a certain way, or someone cuts you off in traffic and you think you got a road rage out, but you don't know what's going on in their life. Maybe they just got word that their wife's dying of a heart attack and they're rushing to the hospital. Like, you have no idea what's going on. So if you are impeccable with your word, you never make an assumption about anything, don't take anything personally, and whatever you do, just do your best. It's a life changer, man.
That's great advice.
No, I love that. I actually, I just ordered it while you were reading.
That's why your thumbs down it.
Yeah, I don't know. I was coming back and listening. I don't know how that little.
I think actually I do have that book. I have read it, and it's definitely a good one and stuff. So that's definitely, I think, a good one for everyone to read. Is very general knowledge, not just in the real estate world, but all relationships in life.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited. I don't know if you guys ever use it, but do you guys ever use thrift books? Have you ever?
Yes.
Dude, I love
it. Listen,
it's so good.
We are going broke on all the $3 books that my wife buys. Like, it is wild. You get that green package in the mail. I'm like, oh, you got another book.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have like and they have the cool little reward system, like you order so many books, you get books for free, and it's pretty cool. It's just it's thrift books. I actually ordered it while you were saying it, but it's so cool because a lot of times you can kind of pick the condition of it. But yeah, like JPaul was saying, like it's like $3 to $5 when a book normally. I just looked on it on Amazon for a new one. They go, well, this is like an expensive one.
Like 15 to $20. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you're getting it at like a fifth of the price. It's pretty cool. So I'm gonna also add Who Not How. You guys sounded like you both read it, so that one's gonna be cool too. So thanks for those. This was super fun. Thanks, JPaul.
Yeah. So if someone wanted to get on your buyers list or get in touch with you, or bring one of their wholesale deals for them to help you dispo, how should they get in touch with you? How should they get on your buyers list?
Yeah, man. So just shoot me an email. It's JPaul. That's JPaul @ 7kidsandflipping.com. Even though it's 8. Yeah. So JPaul @ 7kidsandflipping.com. I'm on Facebook. I mean, I'm not super active there, but you can shoot me a message or whatever. So just look for JPaul Mills. I got a picture of me and my wife. You probably see a sailboat in the background, things like that. So that's easy way to get a hold of me, man. Or shoot you guys an email, then you can forward it over to me or whatever.
Oh yeah, sure. We'll definitely. We need your help dispoing.
Yeah.
Come on, baby. I like taking people's money.
Come on.
I mean,
but you
I know
also
it sounds so bad, but it's really not. Like, I mean, we're not taking your money. Half of something's better than all or nothing.
No, you're helping people make money. I think that's like the biggest thing, which you did a great job of explaining, like how joint ventures work. It's it has to be a bilateral contract that's going to work for both parties. And yes, JPaul is going to make some money, but it's all the back end work that he's done. Like we're talking about, you said 2014, right? So a full decade, of expertise that if I'm hopping into the real estate game, even right now, Sam and I, we've been doing different avenues, but like we said, if we have something that we need to get rid of, I'm going to JPaul. I'd rather have some of something and get rid of it and have the money back fast than all of nothing, right? So that's his expertise, and it's not, dispositions. It's not our expertise, right? So I think that's super cool, and this has been a ton of fun. Sam, where can we find you at?
Yeah, so best place to reach me is my Instagram at Sam_FloridaBand. Just reach out to me on Instagram, shoot me a DM if you guys are looking at any kind of deal that you guys are looking to joint venture in, or if you guys got any questions about something in Northwest Florida, need some help. Since I'm here on the ground, feel free to shoot me a message. And then, Will, where's the best place for people to reach you?
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram, but I really want you guys, link in the bio, to check out our new website. It's the same as the podcast, eliterealestatepodcast.com, eliterealestatepodcast.com, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have links on there for new upcoming episodes, places where we can get to know you guys, and it's just a place where you can transfer information, follow our newsletters, see upcoming episodes. Again, you can find us on anywhere you get your podcasts, from Spotify, Apple, YouTube, etc. We also will update these live videos too, which are a lot of fun. And big thanks again to JPaul. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. Well, I appreciate you guys reaching out to me, and I'm very happy for you guys, and I'm glad that I was a part of, getting you guys together and just to, spread some knowledge. And I feel honored to be a part of helping you guys' journey.
Yeah, we appreciate you. We're 4 lots together now, so we're doing things, and thanks to you guys for uniting us.
Yeah,
no doubt. You owe me a bison bowl, dog.
I got you. I love
those, dude. I love those so much, man. Like, that's my protein, like bison.
You got to get that Gaines wrap, man. Woo! In the Pensacola store. Again, thanks. Yeah, dude, the Gaines wrap's unreal. Again, big shout out to Clean Eats, our title sponsor, helping us make this podcast happen. And again, thanks to JPaul. So we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Yep.
Cool.
See y'all
Thanks, guys.
Yep. Thank you.